Hello, this is autoverse.tech on stage 2 of a customer's journey migrating Hadoop to GCP. So just a little recap for you. Stage 1 was about data migration and moving on-premise HDFS data to cloud storage. Stage 2 is about determining the GCP services and workflow of your data that you are going to need to migrate to. And stage 3 is about tying everything together and developing a wonderful plan and automation for your migration for each of the environments for your customer. All right, so with stage 2, let's get to the first step, which is investigating data on cloud storage. So you've moved it over, it's sitting there. Now we need to take a look at it. And step 2 says investigate workloads. You need to start understanding how the data is being used, by whom, and for what, and for when. Once you have kind of determined what the data is doing and what kind of other tools that they are using within their on-premise Hadoop infrastructure, you're going to need to start to determine which GCP services would be best suited for their workloads. So we have 4 main workloads to determine. The first is supporting NoSQL workloads. If you're supporting NoSQL workloads and you are using Apache Accumulo, then you're going to want to move to Google's managed Hadoop cluster, which is Cloud Data Proc. If you're using HBase and you need co-processors or SQL with Apache Phoenix, again, it's going to be going to Cloud Data Proc. If you don't need that, you can move to Bigtable. For processing streaming data, and if you're using Apache Spark or Kafka, you would use Cloud Data Proc. But if you're using Apache Beam, you're going to want to move to Cloud Data Flow. For ETL and ELT batch processing, if your customer is using Uzi for workflow orchestration and they are interested in just keeping the workflows jobs as they are, you're going to want to migrate to Dataproc. But if they are okay at changing things up a bit, you could also use Cloud Composer, which is a managed Apache Airflow service. If your client is using MapReduce, Spark, Pig, or Hive, again, you're going to want to migrate to Dataproc. For ad hoc query analysis, if they are using SQL with Apache Hive, Apache Drill, Impala, Presto, and they want to keep the SQL queries that they currently are using, you're going to want to go with Dataproc again. But if they're okay with changing SQL up a bit, you could also put them on one of my favorite services at Google, which is BigQuery. It's a very, very powerful analytical engine. If they are using Apache Spark with interactive webhooks, again, you're going to want to stick with Cloud Data Proc. Now, there is another thing I would like to mention. As you want to start understanding your workflows, it's important to keep in mind that there are certain best practices that you need to consider with cluster creation. It is always best practice to have ephemeral clusters that just get built and run a specific work stream or processing stream and then get shut down again. There's no need to pay for a cluster if it's not being used. If you have workloads, for example, like ad hoc query analysis, most likely there is a team of people who are working a 9-to-5 type job that will need a Dataproc cluster to analyze the data and to do the work that they do. It would be best practice to have these clusters created and at 9 and probably shut down at 5 to conserve costs. So this is a decision tree that will be used to help you determine which GCP services you're going to want to migrate to. Thank you for watching. Please join me on my next video, which is stage 3, where I'll be tying all the loose ends together and taking you through how we created all these automation scripts and our migration plan for the rest of the environments for our customer.